started right up. That light hit the brake. Not high beam, low beam. Horn. Ammeter is a 6-volt ammeter with a 12-volt system. With reading really high. If you watch the flare on the wall, you'll see it flare when I rev up the engine. Showing that it is charging. It's ready for a road test as soon as we get a new battery. Sounds really good. Got good oil flow, we checked it. It's a sweet little bike. As soon as we get a battery, we'll let the client grab it. All right, so it sounds good. Good oil flow, we checked it. Started right up, second or third kick. And good idle. It's throwing a charge. You can see the flare on the wall when I revved up the engine. The ammeter is a 6-volt ammeter and a 12-volt bike, so it's deflecting all the way over to the plus side. And brake light works, tail light works, high beam, low beam works, horn works. It's ready to go back to the client as soon as we get the battery in, hopefully in the next day or so, and do a test ride around the block. Let's see how it runs. Cool. So we ran started the bike and got a video a few minutes ago. About half an hour ago, actually, and it started about the third kick. I wish I'd videoed the start, but I didn't. Frankly, Kevin was just getting ready to start it and went ahead and started it. So it started, revved up, idle, sounded great. We turned it off, and we'd been talking about different things that we're going to do here in the shop, and our neighbor came over, Richard, and we decided to start it up again, showing him the bike as it ran. It wouldn't start. We kicked on it about 25 times. Wouldn't start. Pulled the plugs out, laid them on the heads with good ground wires to them. Great spark. Spark you could read a book by. Put them back in there and no start. Tickled the carburetor, got a nice sloppy tickle. No start. We got spark, we got gas. We feel like we got compression. And no start. So I'm going to do a compression test over there. I've got the compression tester in the right cylinder. I'm going to give it 10 good kicks with the throttle wide open and see what we get. Here we go. Throttle wide open. Alright, so we got 90 pounds on the right cylinder. That's adequate. It's a 350. I don't know if you get more than that on a 350 or not, but 90 pounds is marginal on a kick over. Let's do 10 or 12 good kicks over here and see what we get on this side. We got 120 on this side, so 90 to 123, that's quite a bit of difference. I wanted to do that because this bike is quite blue, and we might have a a burnt valve there. So we've got 120 on this side. Let's do this side again. A double check. Set that up in there. Let's bring you over closer and zoom in. See if I can do this without getting in the way. All right, so we're still running. Throttle wide open. Yeah, it's really topped out at 90 pounds on this side. I'm going to put the bike up in the air and check the valve clearances. There may be more to this problem than meets the eye. Well, guys, I said I'm having a hard time starting this thing, and I noticed that this pipe is kind of blue, and so I put a compression check on it and found that this side only had 90 pounds while the other side 120. So I decided to check the valve clearances, and I checked them. They're perfect 2 and 4. This side actually has these feeler gauges in it. That's 2, and that's a nice snug 4. I'm sorry, this exhaust is a nice snug 4, and this is the intake. It's a nice snug 2. And I said to myself, gosh, those are perfect. Of course, this is a 350, not a 500. I don't work on a lot of 350s, and it's a 3TA, so I better check the book. So I got the book out, and let me show you here. I'm just going to do a zoom in right here, and it says inlet and exhaust valve clearances 3TA, 10 thousandths and 10 thousandths, not 2 and 4 like every other Triumph. 10 thousandths and 10 thousandths. So these valves on this bike are way too tight. We may have burned a valve on the other side, which is why you have low compression. So I'm going to set these back to, I'm going to set these to 10 and 10 on each side. That's what I'm running on my 500, by the way, because I have a hot cam in it. So this guy needs 10 and 10. I'm going to readjust these, and then I'll try to do another start. You know what, as long as I've got the manual out, this is the Triumph 300 and 500 unit twins. While I've got it out, I thought I'd show you something else here. Chapter 8, electrical system. Okay, Chapter 8, electrical system down here. And fuse rating right there. 35 amps. That's so wrong. That's a Lucas 35 amp, which is actually a 17 amp, which is why, and putting a 35 American fuse in there, American 35 amp fuse is way too big. An American 10 amp fuse is all you need, really. So once again, fuse rating 35 amp, what they really mean is a Lucas 35 amp, which in actuality is a 17 amp fuse. So if you want to run a 15 or a 10 in an American bike, I'm sorry, bikes here, American fuse 10 or 15 amps is more than adequate. You don't want to go to 35 amp. It's way too big for these bikes. Okay, so this is a nasty thing to say. It's a Lucas 35 amp, which is actually 17 amps. So let's go back to doing 10 and 10 on the valves. All right, I adjusted the valves to 10 and check again. The one that we're primarily interested in is this right-hand side to see if we can increase the compression at all. It was 90 pounds, the other side was on fine. Let's see if this side has damaged valves, or if just loosening the valves will get us better compression. All right, let's just tuck that up somewhere safe. We'll give it 10, 12 good kicks with the throttle wide open and see what we get. Whoa, we got 135 pounds there, 135 pounds on this side. Wow. Well, just for grins, let's do the other side.
Can you use these? Your
Hang on, video on.
spade and you are?
Yeah, say hi to the world. Say hi, world.
Are you really?
Yeah, I really am. Okay, we're have a seat. I'll be done in a second. Okay, so we're going to do a compression check on the other side and see what it comes up to. Yeah, I do need a red light, you know, when they're flipping like this, saying, video, video, video.
On the
All right, let's see what we got. Oh my gosh, 135 on this side also. So we got a lot more compression with the valve set correctly. So I'm going to put the plugs in this thing and try to start it. See what happens. All right, so we're going to try a restart now. We adjusted the valves. They were 2 and 4. I set them to 10 and 10, as is required by the 3TA and the 5TA engines. I thought mine needed my 5TA engine and my bike needed 10 thousandths because of the cam, but apparently it's just 5TA take 10 thousandths, the same as 3TA take 10 thousandths. So we've got 135 pounds compression on the right side. That's up from 90 pounds before I readjusted valves. We've got 135 pounds compression on the left-hand side. That's up from the 120 I had before I adjusted the valves. None of this means the bike's going to start again. We were having a difficult time. We started it up this morning, cold start beautifully, and after that, it just wouldn't start. So I'm going to go over there and see if it'll start now. See if I've changed anything to make it better. Who knows? All right, petcock is on. Oof, good tickle. Ignition on. Let's give her a stroke and see what happens. I do not understand. Sam, yeah. never mind. I'm going to turn things off now because I haven't got a battery hooked up. Oh joy, I got to hook up a battery. Here we go. All right, here we are. I'm going to try again, this time with a battery actually connected to the bike. See if it makes a difference. We got lights. We got ignition. We got kicker. Let's see what happens. Still got a slop, but gas is on. And we have a sloppy tickle. The faster Well, apparently that did not record. I just did a complete recap of everything we did to this bike since the day it came in, and it didn't record. I'm so upset with this iPhone 16, I just don't know what to do. Anyway, end of the recording, I'm letting the bike sit here for about half an hour while I go inside and have a cup of coffee, something to eat. Then I'll come back out and see if it'll do a warm start. So, sorry you missed, I missed, we all missed the history of the repairs on this bike. But I'm gonna let it sit here for about half an hour or so, and I'll come back in and I'll do and I'll do a warm start in a few minutes. All right, the bike has been sitting for about half an hour or so. Let's see if it will start after having sat for half an hour after having started before. Who knows? Let's find out. Gas is on. I'm going to tickle just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. And here we go. Ignition. Do we have a battery? Okay, battery. No, battery's disconnected. Let's hook up battery. Excuse me, my throat is kind of rough. Alright, so now we have battery. Yep, got lights. Ignition right there. Let's try it and see what happens. Oh, kick that back on me. It does not like a warm start. How interesting. Okay, come on. We got lights. We have ignition. Come on, bike. It's very frustrating. Let's try full throttle. This bike is making me crazy. Look at light.
Very bright out there without sunglasses.
Yep. And this thing won't start again.
Yeah.
We are taping, by the way. There's something about this bike that doesn't like a warm start. And it's not even that warm. Cold start is great. I've tried no throttle, mid throttle, full throttle. This is just strange.
Once
Try another a sloppy tickle. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. Let's sit. Come back and try again later, tonight or tomorrow morning. This is very, very strange. Very, very strange. All right, let's do a recap, the one that didn't record. We'll do a recap again. Since I'm holding the camera, I can watch it record. And then I'll put out a call. Oh boy, I'll put out a call for advice. Okay, this is a 6G3TA. Came in. The original observation was sometimes hard to start, and mid-range was it lost power in mid-range. I thought, okay, it's just the pilot jet, and pulled that out and cleaned it. It was just slightly dirty, but that wasn't the solution because it didn't fix anything. Then the client mentioned that the bike had been converted from 6 to 12 volts, so I checked that out. Headlight, tail light were 12 volts, battery was 12 volts, but the coil, ignition coil, was 6 volts. And I don't know if that's overly bad, but I put a 12 volt coil in. Batteries, tested the battery wouldn't take a load, so I've ordered a new battery. It hadn't arrived yet. I've been running it on a shop battery. The client mentioned that when he touched the ignition switch assembly, the bike would falter and the headlights would dim and the instrument light would go out. So I thought, okay, well, we'll go in there. So I took the cowl apart, took the switch apart. There are all kinds of wires in here left over from its 6 volt days that were just completely superfluous and not needed. So I yanked them all out, rewired it as a 12 volt system with 12 volts going in, ignition coming out, and lights coming out. Lights all work, ignition works, horn works, bike charges, tail light work, brake light works. That's electrically the bike is good. Got great spark. Kick it over. You could read a book by the spark. Kicked it over twice yesterday, and it fired right up. Maybe 2-3 kicks, and it fired right up. Ran it for about 15 minutes, and then decided to let it sit. Went back to it about 5 minutes later to start it for a friend who was visiting, and it would not start. So came out here this morning, and what did I do? Did I start it? Yeah, I started it this morning. It was a cold start, and it ran really good. But then let it sit for a little while, and then once again tried to start it, and it wouldn't start. So seeing this left pipe being blue and the bike refusing to start, I decided to take it apart, take the valve caps off and check, pull the plugs and check compression and check valves. The compression on the left side turned out to be 90 pounds. Compression on the right side turned out to be 90 pounds. Compression on the left side was 120. 90 is marginal, 20 is okay, but the difference between the two is not okay. So I checked the valves and found them set to perfect, 2 and 4. Unfortunately, the valves on this particular bike need to be set to 10 and 10, the 3TA. So I set the valves to 10 and 10 on all 4 valves. And the compression immediately tested it again, immediately came up as 135 on each side, which is great, nice and even. So put the bike back together, and it started right away, like 1, 2, 3, bang, it was gone. Beautiful. Beautiful running, beautiful revving, beautiful idle. It was just lovely. Ran it for about 15 minutes or so and turned it off, came back, tried to start it again, and hadn't started since. And I am at my wit's end once again, which is not that far a trip anymore. So I've got a bike that when it runs great. When it starts easy, and when it doesn't start, it's a bother. Now, I have in my 20 years worked on a lot of different bikes. This is the very first one that had a distributor. I've never worked on a bike with a distributor. So this is a call for opinions and help. Have any of you worked with the distributor style ignition? Distributor. Not your best friend, girlfriend, second cousin's next door neighbor, but you yourself. Have you yourself any experience with the distributor? The fact that it's got a nice capacitor here, that would probably be maybe a 6-volt capacitor. Would it matter? My opinion of my good friends say no, that shouldn't matter. Capacitor, condenser, it's the same, two names, same thing. It just cuts down the arcing on the points. The points themselves are beautiful. I took a look at them. They're nice and clean and shiny bright. They look new. This cap looks like it's brand new. It's nice and clean. Nothing inside that would attract my attention. Just lovely. So, the one thing I notice when I hold the points open and with my other hand, taking the pressure off the cam, trying to rotate this to show the advance, it doesn't really want to move. There's no real, I can't, on the ones built into the timing cover, you can move this cam with the advance unit. Right now it's all I'm getting right there. I don't know if that's enough. I'm very hesitant to take it apart. I don't want to pull this apart, take it out, look at the advance unit, all those different things. I don't want to mess up the timing. And I'm not sure that I've been talking all this time. My earpiece just said connected. Okay, I just don't know. Get a little frustrated with this iPhone 16. Anyway, if anybody out there has worked with this distributor system and can tell me about any idiosyncrasies, I'd be more than happy to entertain your input. But right now I'm going to let it sit overnight and do a cold start tomorrow morning. And that is all.